I had a couple more donations yesterday. As always, massively appreciated. Those donations came from Ian Williams and Charmaine Rondon. So thank you very much for that. It enables us to pop out and get some extra stock that we need. I got some of this yesterday. Fish blood and bone. They were only £2.99 for a 2 kilo box, and that's going to last quite a while. They're from Own Bargains if you want to get some yourself, and they've also got grow more and bone meal. Same size box, same price. So we got a mixture of those. And it's things like that that we stock up on when we get donations. So again, thank you so much for doing that. Very generous of you. I come out here 7 days a week and check round all plants. But nobody's perfect. And every now and again, I'm so busy concentrating on one thing, I overlook another. And for the last week or so, it's been the wind outside, battering all those plants. So I'm constantly keeping my eye on things like those potatoes, because I don't want those stems getting broke, and any plants that are growing quite tall. But there is one thing that I overlooked, and the irony of it is, it's not even outside. I'll show you what's happened. We're back in this greenhouse again, where we've got a few plants that we put in here from that container garden, because we didn't want to leave them out there in that wind. For one thing, we're trying to avoid windburn. Other than that, we didn't want any damage caused, especially to tall plants like that one at the back. But it's not that that's the problem. It's that small one that's been in this greenhouse for protection. While I was busy worrying about wind damaging these branches, I overlooked the fact that it's got quite a lot of fruit on there, and they're all starting to ripen as well. And what's happened is the weight of the fruit has snapped that stem right there. It is still attached, so the plant's not dying back, or at least this branch is not dying. And all I had to do was get a stick and just push it down the side of that branch. And then everything had been alright, and that would not have happened. Some of these branches are probably going to die back, but fortunately they're ones with nothing on them, so we can take those off anyway. Since we're here, I might as well take a few of these cherry tomatoes, some more that's ripened over the last few days. And if I'd only seen that yesterday, we could have saved that damage to that plant. But all's not lost. So I'll take a selection of these. I'm going to leave rest on there. It's ironic that I keep mentioning this one, and I constantly keep saying I forgot to put an extra cane in to support this plant that's grown really tall, and I still haven't. But I've been doing so many different things, I keep overlooking it. The same thing is probably going to happen with these if I'm not careful, because it seems like all the fruit is coming on one side of this plant. These plants are dwarf cherry falls, and they're supposed to support themselves, but when you get so many fruits growing in one area, it's always wiser just to put a little support in there. And if you look at that one, it's doing exactly the same. It's growing to one side. So another little job for today. For the sake of a couple of canes, I can pin these straight, and at least that weight's central then and not pulled into one side at plant. And we'll be going round tomatoes once again, tying them up, because they're starting to get a bit long now. So that leads me to worry about the ones up here, because they've been in that wind for the last few days. And this one doesn't have any damage. It's got a lot of fruit on it. There's another one just ripening there as well. But that's because this container is a bit wider, so the branches have basically rested themselves on that rim. And that's the only reason there's no damage to this plant. This one, I did put sticks in, but as yet, I haven't tied these plants to those stakes, so that's another job for today. Because that one is absolutely full of tomatoes. Same thing with this one. A little bit of maintenance goes a long way. It's unfortunate when things like that happen, but at least that plant's still living. It's not dying back. And sometimes when those branches break, they can repair themselves if you straighten that plant back up and kind of press it together where it's broke. But there are tomatoes on there and they are ripening. So we've just took another 4 cherry tomatoes, and that's always welcome. It turns your attention to other things. As soon as you see something like that, albeit too late, it makes you look at other plants like we just have done. Because for the sake of a bit of string and a little bit of attention, you could lose your plant. And we've got one behind me, and it's been in here for weeks, and we've still not put a support on it. And that's a really tall plant. And that's this one, another tomato plant, really tall, and hasn't got any support in it whatsoever. So because of what's just happened, it's probably a good idea that we stick a cane in this one while we're thinking about it and get it tied up. This cane will do. It's a nice, thick, strong one. We'll get that in there, and then we can avoid that same problem happening with this plant. Because we've left it so long, there's lots of roots in this container, so then it just makes it more difficult to get these canes in while trying not to damage this plant at the same time. But again, that's my fault. It should have been done a lot sooner. Hopefully that's not going to disturb that root system too much. And then we'll get it tied up, take off some more suckers. And as always, we've tied that string around that stem to that cane, but we've done it loose. We've left a bit of a loop there to allow for that stem to grow. Now I'm going to put another one at the top as well. I think now those tomatoes in that other greenhouse are starting to ripen. It's time to give them a bit of extra feed. So I might just give them a bit of feed once a week now, because they're determinate dwarf tomato plants. So basically they've set all their fruit and then they'll be done. We won't have any more flowers on them after that. So once all that fruit's ripened and we've harvested it, that's the end of that plant. We need to boost it with nutrients while it's at that stage. So I'll do that this afternoon as well. And I'm taking these bottom branches off here as well. They're not doing anything. They are quite close to that compost. A bit more maintenance on this plant. Sometimes it takes something bad to happen to make you take more notice of your plants and prevent that happening again. Ideally, it shouldn't have happened in the first place. But we've got so many things that we're looking at on a daily basis. There's always going to be one that slips through net. But on a positive note, it is a plant that's already set its fruit, which it only does once during its life. And we're starting to take off these lovely little cherry tomatoes. So today we'll be doing a little bit more of that. Just making sure that plants like this have got the support that they need. Because if we didn't do it to these big ones that are now approaching 5 feet tall, and that went over with weight, that would be pretty devastating after watching it grow for all these months. Again, thank you very much for those donations. They're always massively appreciated. And I'm going to go and take these cherry tomatoes in, and I'll pop them in that fridge before I squash them. And then we'll come out and we'll get some more maintenance done this afternoon and make sure that every plant that we've got has got all the support it's going to need. Because we don't want to start losing plants at this point of year. If you want to see our plants like this progress in little containers, then please hit that subscribe button, press that notifications bell. We'll see you next time. Take care.